Now, the interesting question is, why do some people come up with such incredible stories, though? And I like the way that Eric goes through the book and brings them explicitly to our awareness. It goes through and identifies some of the people who we seem to be avoiding today talking about, but a number of amateur archaeologists and scholars who have pseudo-credentials are out there making pretty incredible claims. And it's an interesting question, why are they doing this? I kind of have divided them into basically two groups. I think there is generally one group of people, and this is where it gets kind of delicate and why maybe some people are afraid to write for fear of lawsuits, Herschel. But a lot of times we're suspicious as scholars, regardless of whether we're believers of a more conservative stripe or more secular, humanist, more liberal stripe, if you want to use that. But there are dishonest people out there in the world, regardless of where you're coming from. And I get the impression from looking at some of the books, looking at some of the stuff I see on the web, looking at some of the television programs, that there is genuinely a desire to exploit this thing that is so near and dear to the psyche of so many people. And there's just a lot of bad stuff that's out there. I think sometimes people know it's bad stuff, but there's a market. Money can be made. And so these books are written, these television programs are produced, and there is really just, these are opportunists who are trying to exploit the believers or the public out there who is interested in these kinds of things. And I won't go into detail here particularly, but I've had some interaction with people who got sucked into investing money into some of these projects. To find the Ark of the Covenant, for example, in Jerusalem, thousands of dollars were given. Of course, there was no return on that. Wonderful videos were made, very slick productions. But they never did see the Ark of the Covenant, but somebody ran off with several more thousands of dollars in their pockets. So there is that cynical aspect where people, I think, are exploiting the situation. On the other hand, there are a number of people, I think, who are, in their own thinking, they're genuinely interested. They believe in the Bible. They were raised with these stories from childhood. They want to believe, and there becomes sort of a desperation when they look at the hard, cold world of the academy, and they don't see the easy, simple, ready affirmation of these things. I think sometimes there's sort of a discouragement, and people start seeing things they want to see. A good example might be the chariot wheels that have been alluded to a couple of times here. There's an individual who is unfortunately affiliated with my own denomination, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He's not doing anything anymore because he passed away a couple years ago. But he has developed a lot of ardent followers, and he has claimed, he's published books, he has made videos that he found the destroyed army of the Egyptians as they were chasing the Hebrews across the Red Sea. And on his webpage, you can even see a number of photographs that he says are the broken wheels of these chariots that are there. Now, you look at the picture, or the pictures, and you will, some of you, particularly to an untrained eye, you'll be convinced perhaps that these are indeed broken axles with chariot wheels. They look quite convincing. They're typically encrusted with corals, but what would you expect if the Exodus happened at least 3,000 years ago? Occasionally there's a picture of a brighter, shiny kind of a wheel there. Well, I happen to have been taking a trip a few years ago. I'm sorry, it was even only a year and a half ago with a group of about 6 seminary students from our Andrews University. They wanted to accompany a professor, a colleague of mine and myself, as we were actually trying to do some serious work there, but they wanted to tag along. They promised they wouldn't get in the way. And so we were actually studying some inscriptions, Proto-Sinaitic inscriptions in Sinai, and looking at some petroglyphs that are associated with them. So they tagged along, and on the way we decided to give them kind of a day off, and they wanted to go scuba diving. All of them, by chance, were scuba divers. They all had licenses, and they'd heard about the discovery of this Red Sea crossing. It's at Nuweiba on the Gulf of Aqaba, Gulf of Eilat, the Red Sea, that branch. So we stopped there, and it didn't take us too long to ask a local professional diver if he'd heard of this individual who claimed he had found Pharaoh's lost army. And he smiled. He remembered that group very well. In fact, a number of people have come back since looking for that spot. He knew right where to take us. And so my students and my colleagues suited up and they went diving. And sure enough, it wasn't too long until they found a field of broken chariot wheels underneath the Red Sea. And they had their cameras. I have it on my computer right here. There's too many to show tonight, but I could show you our own photographs of the wheels. What they turned out to be, though, when we inspected them up close and personally and talked to some experts in the area, and then we brought back photographs and studied them in our own lab, they turned out to be a special species of coral called table coral that grow on a stalk straight up, and then they branch out in a circular fashion. And to the untrained eye, they can look just like half of a chariot wheel stuck in the mud. In reality, these were a living organism, and they were coral encrusted because they are coral. So there was no surprise there. The one wheel that was there, we found our own wheel, by the way. The Red Sea is notorious for all sorts of shipwrecks and things. I don't know how many shipwrecks were in this particular area, some 28 shipwrecks throughout history, going all the way back from the ancient Egyptians to World War I and World War II. Under the Red Sea, you can find a load of tanks. There was a railroad car that got dumped off of a ship there. There are bicycles. There are Toyota automobiles. And there are, of course, ships with all the wheels and machinery that come off of those. And it seems to me that one of those wheels in the photograph is nothing more than a modern ship's wheel. The rest were table coral. So here is a person that really wanted to find the chariots, and they found exactly what they were looking for.